Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Geopolitical and Military News. In this video, we will discuss the resignation of Sergei Shoigu from the position of Minister of Defense after more than 11 years in that role. Who will replace him? And how will this affect the Russian invasion of Ukraine? And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. This Sunday, May 12th, unexpected news came from the Kremlin with Putin announcing the resignation of Sergei Shoigu from the position of Minister of Defense after over 11 years in charge of the department. Besides a professional relationship spanning almost 2 decades, Shoigu and Putin are personal friends, a relationship they have always been keen to display publicly. Before becoming Minister of Defense, Shoigu served as Minister of Emergency Situations, a position he held from 1991 until 2012 when he was invited by Putin to take on the role of Governor of the Moscow Oblast. But just months later, Putin promoted him to an even more important position, that of Minister of Defense, with Shoigu continuing the reforms and modernizations initiated by his predecessor, including the creation of the Special Operations Command Force, significantly streamlining the response to terrorist attacks. This, in fact, was the main characteristic of Shoigu's management, constantly seeking the modernization of the Russian armed forces, distancing them from many of the old doctrines still carried from the Soviet era. The role of Minister of Defense in Russia does not involve as much the tactical and strategic components of the armed forces, focusing more on bureaucratic and organizational elements, as well as production and logistics chains, with the tactical and strategic part being the responsibility of the Chief of the General Staff, a position currently held by Valery Gerasimov, a military careerist, unlike Shoigu, who is a civilian. Shoigu's replacement is Andrei Belousov, also a civilian economist by training, who held the position of First Deputy Prime Minister of Russia. But what may have motivated such a profound change, precisely at one of the most critical moments of the invasion of Ukraine? The answer to this question is not clear and involves much speculation, largely due to recent events at the Ministry of Defense, with some top members of that department, including Timur Ivanov, the Deputy Minister of Defense and a known protege of Shoigu, being arrested on corruption charges. From what we know so far, Shoigu was not involved in this corruption scandal, but the arrest of top members of his ministry, some of them really close, and now, just a few days later, the news of Shoigu's resignation, raised speculation about the real reason for this deep change in the ministry. Officially, what is known is that Shoigu will assume the position of Secretary of the Security Council of Russia, with Nikolai Patrushev being reassigned to another position not yet revealed. Shoigu will also be the Vice President of the Military-Industrial Commission of Russia, just behind Vladimir Putin himself. It is undeniable that these two positions are important and very relevant, especially the Secretary of the Security Council, but obviously not as prominent as the Minister of Defense, leaving an important question unanswered. Did Shoigu fall from grace, having been reassigned to another position just to avoid speculation about the way the invasion of Ukraine is going? Or was it a strategic change aimed at preparing Russia for a truly long war? This may indeed be the reason for this change, given that Andrei Belousov, the new Minister of Defense, is an economist with extensive experience in economic and industrial management. In this case, placing Belousov as Minister of Defense would aim to accelerate the militarization of the Russian economy, a very complex process that involves the adaptation of the entire industry, something that can profoundly affect the economy and society. By putting Belousov in this position, Putin may be wanting to prepare Russia for a war that he knows will be even longer, a war that will increasingly require industrial, human, and economic resources. And for this reason, nothing better than having an economist at the helm of this important department. At the tactical and strategic level, as I mentioned at the beginning, the Minister of Defense does not interfere so much with this task, which is the responsibility of the Chief of the General Staff, a position that, from what we know, is still held by Valery Gerasimov. Therefore, at first, this change will not have an immediate impact on Russia's strategy in Ukraine. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Until next time.